Hey, what's up? It's Joe. Welcome to my Freestyle Friday for January 3rd, 2025. So, yeah, another day, another year. Hope you all had a great holiday. Kind of took a hiatus from the newsletter and posted some podcasts, but it was pretty light. I just spent the last couple weeks chilling, really, and hang out with my kids. And I don't know, just enjoying the break, like I guess you should when you have a break in front of you. Spent a lot of time on the book. Released what was it, the first part of the chapter on relational data modeling. The second part will be out either today or tomorrow, with the following, I think, kind of conclusion, some considerations, probably Sunday-ish, something like that. So, yeah, that's, this relational modeling is one of those topics that I think deserves good coverage. So I took it very seriously, and I can't say that these drafts will be the final say in what I've been writing, but I feel like it's a topic that if you work with tabular data, especially, it definitely helps to know the relational model, and not just, I think, how it's normally taught, no pun intended, normal, where it's just taught using normal forms, but really, what's the mathematical basis of it, and so forth. So the first part that I released earlier this week on my Substack, I definitely covered the mathematical properties of the relational model as it relates to relational theory in math. And then the second part goes over some really good examples with normalization, hopefully examples that you can apply to your own work as well. So, and this writing this, this chapter got me thinking just about, I suppose, just the basics, right? I think how we tend to kind of sidestep the foundational parts of our craft. Nowadays, you'll hear me ranting about this often, but if you work with tables, tabular data, things with rows and columns, I think the notion is, why not just cram everything into a table? We have enough storage and compute that we don't need to really think about how we're modeling the data, right? And thinking is the key word here. We don't think about it anymore, but that also means you're not thinking about the data itself and what it means and what it represents and how it's structured, right? So I think understanding things like the relational model and other aspects of data modeling are crucial for people that work with data, whether you're an application developer, an analyst, a data scientist, and so forth. And increasingly, as we start blending a lot of these data sets together, we're talking about structured data, semi-structured, and unstructured, for purposes of AI and so forth. I think more than ever, having an understanding of what the data looks like and what it means is going to be paramount to having AI that works for us, right? I shudder to think what happens if we continue down the path where we just blindly toss data into whatever receptacle, so to speak. That could be a database, file storage, whatever, and aren't really thinking about what we're doing. I think with the power that we've already seen with AI, and I think also a lot of the downsides of it, and a lot of the hallucinations and so forth. I think we're in for a rude awakening if we're not getting back to fundamentals and thinking about our craft from first principles. And this is something I think you're going to start seeing more and more, in 2025 and beyond, is I think a return to fundamentals. I think, went overweight the other direction where, technology was very easy to work with, and it increasingly is more easier to work with. And AI obviously makes it theoretically a ton easier to work with, but that also presents a huge danger where if we're not thinking about what we're doing, then we just do dumb things more quickly. And so, I'm starting to see practitioners, revisiting things like data modeling and also governance and data management practices and so forth, precisely because in order to make our data, quote, AI ready, we need to understand what we're dealing with, not just as we load data in, but on an ongoing basis. This is very much the coupling of humans and machines, where the power of AI is not so much that it works on its own, but that it leverages our knowledge, and we leverage its capabilities to scale past what we can do. And this is the symbiosis that increasingly we're going to be seeing with AI, and it's what we've been seeing with computers for a long time. But something very curious to see what happens. On another note, in 2025 with the advancements in AI, it's depending on who you listen to, we've either hit scaling limits or we're about to find different techniques for working with the existing data sets that we've been training a lot of these contemporary models on. I don't know. I think we've run out of all the conceivable public data to train these things on, but there's still a lot of internal corporate data that has yet to be trained. So I think that's sort of the next shoe to drop, but that also entails that we've got that data in order. And, I keep saying in my talks around the world, I've been saying this for the last couple of years, if we're not going to get it right now with all the attention being paid to AI and all the money seemingly being thrown at AI, then I don't know when we're going to get our data house in order. So hopefully 25, is the year when, we start seeing, actions being taken. I think 2024, you start seeing interest and I think real action starting to being taken, but not, on a massive basis. But, if you kind of look at the clock of where this latest AI hype cycle has been, what 2023 was sort of the year of imagination, imagining all the use cases. 2024 is about, POCs and, maybe putting some workloads in quote production, but, 2025 I think is when you're going to start seeing, whether or not this stuff actually will work in companies, right? Now it's also the year of AI agents. Last year was also the year of AI agents, but this is like the big talking point now. And you're hearing people like Satya Nadella say that SaaS apps are dead and agents will, basically supplant SaaS apps. I perhaps, I don't know. I think it's probably too soon to tell. But, I've been definitely dorking around with a lot of these agentic workflows and so forth, and there's a lot of possibilities with this stuff for sure. But again, it depends on the underlying data, and because now you have multiple AIs talking to each other. Hopefully they know what they're doing, but there's some cool stuff. Like during the break, I was playing a lot with stuff from Anthropic. Computer use is one thing that came to mind. I spent the weekend playing with that, and I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool demo. We'll see what it looks like. But computer use is an API. It's in beta. Please don't put this on your computer. but you can through a chat interface instruct a computer or instruct computer use to do actions in your computer, right? So I told it to go to a website and give me the in this case I was in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was like, why don't you make me a search for top things to do in Scottsdale, Arizona, and make me a ranked list in Google Sheets or a spreadsheet in this case. I think it was LibreOffice is a spreadsheet. But make me a ranked list of top things to do in Scottsdale. And it did it, right? And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I think you can kind of extrapolate where things go. If you have a workflow where you can talk to it and it just does things, I do wonder what this does to office work as this type of technology advances and matures. I can definitely see a workflows changing with office workers, potentially hollowing out a lot of work that people are doing right now. But that's perhaps what we're looking at. I think the argument for applications being replaced by agentic workflows is you no longer need an interface. You can just tell agents to do things, and they'll go do them, right? So that theoretically it eats away at the various sort of incumbents right now, which should be no secret why Salesforce is betting on Agentforce and so forth, and why companies like Microsoft are probably pushing things like agents, because I think they kind of understand where the natural conclusion of these types of workflows is. I think it is correct. You don't need an interface anymore, but we'll see where it goes, right? I think it's reminds me very much of what the web was in the early days and the internet and so forth. And we're building out the new infrastructure, and we're seeing workflows that may or may not make any sense. But the main thing is in the internet, you started understanding the interfaces in which you would interact with the web, and so I feel like agents are really the first way to make an AI native interface that's separate from how we deal with quote AI right now, which is typing into a chat box or maybe typing things in or talking to things in voice. But really, the workflow as I envision AI is and I've always had this vision of an internet that sort of exists where you don't have to interface with it except when you need it. So you just walk through the world and, it's basically like living in 1980, except you're also living in, the 2020s and 2030s and beyond, where technology does its thing behind the scenes, and, you can summon it and it'll do things and then it disappears. But, and I kind of have a, one kind of glimpse I deal with this, I wouldn't say this is AI, but just how I work with technology a lot is all, I have an Apple Watch Ultra, that has an LTE connection. So, when I want to go out, actually, I leave my phone at home, especially when out trail running or whatever. So I'll just leave my watch on, but that gives me enough of an interface to the world where I don't need to stare at a screen. I can go out and enjoy nature. And if I need things, I just use Siri, and, assuming I have a cell phone connection, then I can do a lot of things I would normally do, make calls, send texts, and so forth. But I'm not encumbered by a screen. I think staring at screens is going to be a thing of the past, maybe in 10 years, 15 years, which would be great, right? Because I always joke that the posture of how humans have evolved, and I think the universal posture around the world is just somebody hunched over a phone, staring at a screen and poking at it. But I think hopefully those days, if you just have intelligent workflows working behind the scenes, doing things for you on your behalf, and I think it opens up a new world of not just interfaces, but of workflows and who knows what else. And so, the other things I've been thinking of, and in 2025 starting, I think you're going to start seeing people wanting more of a human connection, wanting to be part of communities. And I think this is, I can see this in the communities that I have, when we do like data therapy, for example, a lot of people show up and they just want to have a conversation, right? There's no agenda. I just think people want to talk to people and, share ideas and debate and so forth. And I think this is great. In-person events or seeing a massive comeback. And I think those are going to be more important than ever. I think people are going to want the human touch, especially when you have an era of AI generated slop, right? Articles this week are about Meta and Instagram pushing a lot of AI generated content. And, I think it's neat. It's novel. It definitely portends an era where we just have agents all talking to each other. And these avatars all talking to each other and so forth. I mean, I'm working on one right now, which will hopefully be out, this year. But I think, people are people, right? Probably the old Depeche Mode song, but it's people are going to want connection. People are going to want to hang out. So maybe there's a world where people hang out and their avatars talk to each other in the kind of the offline world, and who knows what the disparity is between these two colluding with or against each other, who knows. But it's an exciting time. But from what I can tell, I think people want more human experiences. That's part of the reason I'm starting this new company, is I think people are going to want content made by people for people, content that's going to help push ideas forward and push people's thinking. I think the idea that we're just going to create all of our content with AI, I think it's, a lot of content will be created, but that's probably going to be news articles that just summarize events and whatnot. But people don't want to just read facts and consume AI generated content. I think they're going to want to, I think more, relate to each other. And I think that's going to become more important than ever, precisely as that moment becomes, precarious in some ways, right? And so, especially as things like work become, precarious as well, a big question mark on that. I think 2025, you're going to see, more the continuation of the past couple of years, more layoffs for quote, efficiency gains, kind of a hollowing out of managerial layers, especially. And, as AI becomes more capable in these workflows and, in work, who knows what happens, but something I've been thinking a lot about, which is, what's the nature of managing people when you don't need as many, when the workflows are orchestrated by machines, right? And when the practitioners and the individual contributors actually know the workflows better than managers, right? And managers historically existed to manage the workflows of the humans doing the work, but now the experts, the domain experts, are really the individual contributors who are going to be managing the AIs, and so that I think you're going to see a giant culling of the middle management. It's already started happening. Amazon, I think they announced they're getting rid of 12,000 middle managers in their company, and I think that's just the beginning. But you're going to see that in more companies, and that's just the trend that's going to go on. But this is also sort of the the throes of late stage capitalism, I guess, that we're in right now, where it's all about, quote, shareholder value, and I think people are getting tired of it, right? I think people are getting jaded on working super hard for the shareholders and not seeing a proportionate return to themselves. The tragic killing of the United Healthcare CEO, I think, highlights definitely the frustrations of a lot of people. I think the reaction to his murder was definitely something that I think you're going to see more of, where people, sure, there's that murder happened, but are they sympathetic towards United Healthcare? Absolutely not. I don't think United Healthcare was sympathetic toward this guy either. They had a CEO, in the chair basically the next hour after this person was murdered. So, the corporations don't care, and I think people see through it, and especially as AI starts gutting more and more tasks and more jobs. I think people are just going to. I think people are going to be really tired of it. Why do we work these soul crushing jobs to make a few people at the top really rich? This harkens back to the struggles we had in the industrial age and and communism and so forth. But it's back in a big way. If you look at politically what's happening around the world, incumbent leaders are losing their positions left and right, and I think people are looking for an answer to a very complicated world, and with this world we're in right now, right? So, but yeah, I think 2025 is going to be very fascinating to watch. I don't know what happens. I think there's a lot of challenges in the world that are going to get resolved one way or another, and that another might be something that we probably don't want to contemplate, but that's how nature and history has been for millennia, right? Sometimes it's not the the nice and convenient answer. Sometimes humanity faces some pretty harsh truths. And I think a lot of those harsh truths are coming to a head, and so it'll be curious what this year and the following years look like. But you're definitely seeing the trajectory of, like I said, automation, late stage capitalism, and I think people just wanting something different, in their lives and in the way that they spend their time and the people that they spend their time with. And so, there's been a lot of things I've been thinking about. You'll notice my conversations definitely, they maybe start with data, but they kind of blend more towards just sort of the zooming out and understanding the factors that are happening in the world, right? I don't think these are indistinguishable. We can definitely, I think, fixate on our bubble, being in data and so forth, but there's a much bigger world out there, and there's a lot happening out there right now. So I would say definitely make the most of it, like you would any other year. I'm definitely excited, and looking forward to a lot of the opportunities that are personally in front of me, and I hope that you're excited and looking forward to a lot of the opportunities that are in front of you. Again, it's a lot of it is what you just make of it, right? So there's awesome things happening in the world, and there's it gets pretty cool. So again, it's it's not without challenges, but that's always how it's been. Since every year's, like I said, it's you can approach it with the sense of dread and whatnot. But I tend to maybe I'm just too old to be dreadful of things. I just want to just go and build cool things, and so I'm looking forward to announcing some of the things I've been working on, and it's coming down the pipe. But anyway, as far as the newsletter goes, I've been thinking about changing up kind of the format of the weekend newsletter. I might just make it some links for you to read, and I'm gonna probably just post a couple articles during the week in addition to the weekend cool things to read newsletter. So I think with the newsletter as it is, and I've had this before where I felt like it was it gets a bit too long, especially if I write a 4,000 word article. Then you have all these other links. It gets to be a bit too much to read. So something about going back to basics and sort of parsing it out. But you'll see a lot more with that, as well as practical data modeling. There's a lot of stuff that's been written, so I seem to go through and edit it and post it. But the book, like I'm saying, I think I've indicated, I hope to have the manuscript done by March. It's been a bear of a project to build, like I said, with everything else going on, but it's getting done. I'm expecting the book will be published, i.e. available to buy in print this summer. So I'll give you a more definite date on that when I'm closer to it. But that tends to be the cadence of it right now. It's about March, April for the manuscript. That means like the big chunks of the book are on Substack. For subscribers, you can read it. And then the rest of it, like I said, there's logistics I have to work out with everything. So turns out when you're writing a book, writing the book is one thing, making the book is a different job, right? So I just want to make sure I do it right. And provide you with the best book possible. So that's the note on the book. Also, concurrent with the book, there's going to be a course that will accompany the book. So I'm working on that as well. So stay tuned for that. That should be out hopefully around the time the physical book drops. And also working on some workshops. So if your company wants a workshop on data engineering or data modeling or architecture, let me know. But that'll be available this spring. So I got a lot of stuff in the hopper, as well as this new company, which I'm going to announce later this month. So got a lot going on. Anyway, thanks for your support. The last couple of years have been awesome. I'm glad you're a part of it. If you like this podcast, by the way, please like and subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice. Please give it a nice rating if you'd like. And thanks for everything. I definitely appreciate you, and we'll look forward to a lot of content coming out. Talk to you later. Bye. Have a good weekend.